Right, closing moments now on today's edition of Business Morning, and we're turning our attention to housing. Well, specifically here in Lagos. If you live in the commercial capital, Lagos, you will understand the reason why we're talking about this. We seem to have a very huge population, but housing still poses a major challenge. There's still a very huge deficit of housing here in Lagos, or that's what a lot of people say. The cost of getting these products to build houses has also been an issue that has, been talked about a couple of times. But joining me on the program now to talk about the Lagos housing market is Bolanle Olutosin. She's a research analyst with Financial Derivatives Company. Good morning to you, Tosin. Bolanle, thank you for coming on the show this morning.
Good morning.
So, well, FDC has just launched this vacancy factor index. Talk to us a little bit about it.
The vacancy factor index is a new indicator developed by the FDC Financial Derivatives Limited company think tank economic research team. We developed it because the real estate industry is an important industry in the Nigerian economy. Housing is a necessity of life, so that's the reason why we decided to go on with it. So the vacancy factor is an index that kind of measures the state and the health of the real estate industry.
Okay. So in engaging that, how easy is it to get a house in Lagos?
It's not so easy, and our research is focused on the prime areas of Lagos, and these are high-end areas, so it's not easy to get housing in these particular areas.
Those areas are where?
VI, Lekki, and Ikoyi.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those are the areas, you say, those are highbrow areas.
Yes.
How easy is it to get houses? Because we noticed from those numbers you sent in that houses in those particular areas as Victoria Island, Ikoyi, and Lekki are still largely vacant. Yes,
they are. We find that there's actually a correlation between money laundering and vacancy of supply of housing. So with the new administration, President Buhari and his anti-corruption schemes, we find that the real estate is extremely sensitive to money laundering. So people find that, you find that you don't want to be caught with the money, right? And then you kind of invest in real estate, makes it hard for you to trace where this money is coming from. So there's a huge supply of housing. Building materials are very expensive. Regulatory costs are expensive. So the rents of these houses are high. But in the case, with the particular contraction of economic activity we see now, inflation rates are very high, GDP growth is slowing down, it's about 2.1%, unemployment rate is about 10.4%. These contraction of economic activities kind of affect the demand of vacant properties in the market. According to economic policy, when demand falls and supply is high, you should see rents of houses fall, but this is not the case, and we find that the reason why is due to the fact that money laundering real estate industry is extremely sensitive to money laundering. Okay,
but then there's also been an increased demand for residential demand as against commercial demand. Why is that?
Well, from my own perspective, as if I think of myself as a business manager, I would want to use a residential property for my office because you pay less compared to the commercial properties that we see in these highbrow areas. So I'm better off spending, paying rent about 8 to 10 million naira per year rather than spending about 30,000 naira per square meter for some of these properties, some of these commercial properties.
Well, have you ever, thought that maybe it's because people who actually rent this residential, office space, residences for office space, do not actually declare that that's what they're using it for? So sometimes you look at it on the outside that this is somebody's home, and you wouldn't know that it's an office.
You can't eliminate that. In Nigeria, you find people always trying to shortcut, government policies just so that they make profits from their businesses. So it's not surprising. I'm very sure that's exactly what.
But then how about if it is that you can't pay for the having your office in that particular space? So if you're just you're an SME, a small or medium enterprise, and you're just starting out, you just want to find your feet just before you go to a bigger space.
For me, that decision has to do with the government and the government policies that have been introduced. Our country, only 5% of the people in our country actually take mortgages to rent properties. We're not a mortgage-based economy. In the US, for example, they take up mortgages to rent houses for businesses, for offices, for residential uses, and this kind of helps the individuals in the economy well off. In Nigeria, it's not the case. So you end up finding people that, you know, use these spaces for other uses and then do not declare it.
Okay, so what do you think, you know, looking at the way things are, and we're still trying to get the economy, you know, to move faster than it is right now, do you think at any time Nigerians might begin to, the 5% that you mentioned might increase to a higher number of people who will accept to get into mortgages to own their own homes?
Well, we feel like as soon as the budget is passed, because I think it's going to be passed next week, we should see a trickle-down effect of disbursement of funds in the economy, and hopefully, with that, people become more. They get more confident in the economy, and then they spend more. But regarding mortgage banks and how we deal with giving people loans and all that, that has to do with the government and government policies.
Okay, so that's your outlook. The future looks bright.
Yes. For
housing, but we're here in Lagos. We'll continue to track it because that's the factor we're looking at. The vacancy factor will decline marginally to 165 post the passage of the budget.
Yes,
that's what you're expecting. Yeah. And rents will stabilize.
Hopefully.
Well, hopefully.
Yes.
I was just going to say fingers crossed on that one because you know these days the rents just have a mind of their own. Everybody tells you that they need money and the rest of it. But Bolanle, thank you so much for coming in. And of course, since this is the first time we're talking about it, yes, I'm very sure we're going to have more conversations with regards the VFX.
Yeah, VFIX.
VFIX.
Vacancy Factor Index. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For coming on the show.